Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I thought we would have been able to do more catching up since the COVID shutdowns were lifted and then something called Ida got in the way. So I miss you. And next week we go into session. So I suppose I'll at least get to come see you on Fridays for a little while. Then after that it won't be till June. So you know how to reach me, so please do. Sometimes it gets lonely in Baton Rouge. I love to hear from you. So go ahead and call, email, come visit the Capitol sometime. Let me know you're there. I'll show you around with a behind-the-scenes tour if I can sneak out of a meeting to do so. Oh, was that on camera? Sorry. Okay, so we go into session on Monday. It's a regular session, which means it's a longer session, and it also means that we can bring bills on any topic. The only exceptions are we cannot raise taxes or fees. We have to wait for a fiscal session to do that. And I predict that this session we're going to see a record number of bills filed. And that's because in 2020, when we left for the COVID shutdown, there were many bills filed that never got heard when we came back because we were on an abbreviated schedule. And some of those bills that could wait did. And so in many cases, legislators are bringing those bills back this year to give them their hearing. So far, there are 1,200 bills filed. Once we get into session, each legislator could file as many as 5 more. They're not going to, but there will be a few more filed. And when we throw in resolutions and other things that don't actually change the statutes, I truly believe we're going to hit the 1,500 mark. So it's going to be a hectic session. For me, I'll give you a little synopsis of the bills that I've filed already. And if you have any questions about them, we can talk later. One will be a public meetings exception for local governments. Right now, the legislature has this exception, but local governments don't. Let me explain what it does. After Hurricane Ida, in Terrebonne Parish, our OEM director would hold daily, sometimes twice a day, updates, as all parishes do during those kinds of emergencies. And during one of the Zoom calls, one of the council members noticed that there were 5 council members on the Zoom call. And there are 9 council members in Terrebonne. So he asked the parish attorney if that was a violation of open meetings laws. And the parish attorney said, I think it may be. So I'm bringing legislation that will allow local government bodies, the mayors and city councils and parish councils, in the event of emergencies, when you're in the emergency situation and you need to receive those updates and communicate with your emergency officials, there will be an exception in the law so that it doesn't matter if your entire council is on the call, because that's not a public hearing. You're not dealing with your agenda. You're not voting on anything or polling your members. And so this will help the emergency information to be able to flow without any violation. Another one I'm bringing is requested. It's specific to St. Mary. There was a member of a recreation district board who asked if we could bring a bill that would allow recreation district boards to set their per diem or to increase their per diem. So this bill would allow recreation district boards to set a per diem for their members coming to meetings up to 12 meetings a year at somewhere between $10 and $65. So talk with your recreation districts and get involved. I expect that this one will pass. And so in the coming months, later this year after this would go into effect, the rec boards may be discussing where they want to set their per diem if they want to set one. So if that is of interest to you, be in touch with them. Of the bills that I've already filed, there are 14 of them, and 7 deal somehow, somehow with immunizations. And some of these ideas, I had already filed bills previous to 2020. But some of these ideas have come to the forefront because of what we've all experienced in the past 2 years. So one bill I'm bringing is concerning insurance, health insurance. It prohibits health insurance companies from using your vaccine status for incentives or penalties. I brought this bill in 2018 or 19 because Families were contacting me and saying, I'm having trouble finding a pediatrician who will see my child because a particular vaccine, for whatever reason, could be medical, could be religious. And the pediatricians had begun to hang signs on their doors saying, if your child does not have all of the recommended childhood immunizations, you cannot be a patient here. So we were having an access to care problem. More recently, and the reason I'm bringing this bill back, and I've amended it a bit, is one of my constituents spent 30 days in a local hospital recently, recovering from COVID. Now, he's doing well, but when he got his hospital bill, his insurance company refused to pay any of his hospital bill because he had not received a COVID shot. So, I believe that this bill will get plenty of attention this session. There are many stories like that. Another bill I'm bringing related to financial institutions. Do we have any bankers in here? Okay, one. Okay. It doesn't allow the wild, wild west, okay? The Bankers Association has concerns because this bill that I'm bringing is called a Financial Institutions Regulatory Sandbox. As you probably realize, there are a number of financial transactions and such that are new, that may not fit the current regulations that we have with all of our banking institutions. Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining, and cryptocurrency. These are new words that have come about since many of our regulations were put into place. So this bill would allow a sandbox, which means an opportunity for certain types of financial transactions to take place under a different set of regulations as we figure out what regulations need to be in place so that we can properly assure safety for people moving into the new world of financial products. Another bill I'm bringing is a Consumer Protection from Indemnified Products Act. This bill would say that any government entity, employer, private business, or education institution is prohibited from mandating liability-free products that would result in the loss of your job opportunities, a promotion, or your ability to receive a public or private education. It assures that the consumer has the right to decline a requirement for a liability-free product without harassment and penalty. And any of these entities, government employers, private businesses, and education institutions that recommend liability-free products are going to be required to disclose that they are shielded from lawsuits so that the consumer can make an informed decision. I have a bill concerning the work requirement for SNAP benefits. Right now, there is a work requirement in place under federal law, but in Louisiana, we're under a waiver, and the work requirement would say that those people who are ready for work, who are able to work, especially those who are able-bodied and have no dependents, would be required to work, look for work, train for a job, like go back to school, for example, or do volunteer work in order to keep SNAP benefits. We've been under a waiver for more than 20 years. All this bill would do is say that if and when a governor wants to continue that waiver, the legislature would have to weigh in. This gives the public an opportunity to have a say in whether we are continuing that waiver or not. I believe it's a good time to put this into law because at this moment, how many of you are having trouble finding staff, hiring employees? There are more jobs right now than there are people to fill them. So I think it's a good time to have this discussion. Another bill that I'm bringing would prohibit vaccines that are under emergency use authorization from being required until they're fully approved. Two bills that I'm bringing, one is a statutory bill, one's a constitutional amendment on the same thing. It's called Bodily Autonomy. It would protect every individual's right to make their own health care decisions. to not have health care forced on you if it's something some procedure that you do not want. And I'm getting to the bottom here, so take a breath. Okay, nobody's fallen asleep yet. Okay. The rest of my bills are bills that will go before the Education Committee. The first one will be the right of parents to access and examine lessons. They already have the right to look at curriculum and materials. This would be to actually contact the school and say, hey, can I make an appointment? I'd like to see what little Susie is learning in 4th grade math or whatever. Another is going to prohibit immunizations from being administered to minors at school unless the school has a health clinic, a school-based health clinic. The superintendents contacted me months ago when the Department of Health sent out word that they would be happy to come and do mobile vax units at schools that were willing. And they said, look, in the schools where we have health clinics, this is fine, because parents are already aware that there's a health clinic, and at the beginning of the school year they've already signed the proper documents for what kinds of health procedures they will allow and they don't want. But in the schools where we don't, can we really just stick to teaching the kids? Can we leave the health care to the health care professionals and let the parents work that out between them? And so that's what I'm bringing this bill for. Another one will prohibit BESI or the Department of Education from recommending medical procedures. Right now, that authority rests with the public health officer of the Department of Health, and that's where it should remain. So this doesn't change anything. It just keeps us from moving forward in the future and having education officials recommending medical procedures. Right now in state statute, since I think 1990-something, we've had a statute tuition-free and with a 50% discount on the textbooks and materials that they purchase, subject to appropriation. And are more mature citizens to enroll at a number of schools across the state that have a difference out of pocket. Last one I'll let you know about is a vaccine exemption civil remedy for students denied school entrance. Every year, I get phone calls from parents who say, I'm trying to enroll my child in such and such school or such and such daycare, and my child can't have, pick a shot, the measles vaccine, for example. And so I've turned in an exemption as allowed by law, and the school has rejected my exemption and will not let me enroll my child. Well, that's against the law. The schools are required to accept those exemptions. And so the Department of the Department of Education will call the school and let them know what the law says. And most of the time, the school or the daycare says, oh, exemption is spelled, but we're still talking about them, like perhaps parent-taught driver's ed. So if you're interested in more, just give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Amedee. Next up, we have State Representative Vincent St. Blanc coming up.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning. I'd like to thank the Chamber for giving me this opportunity to speak to y'all just for a few minutes. I'm trying to make it as short as I can because it's such a long session coming up and the amount of bills. I'd just like to touch on one thing today. We just got out of redistricting, and my district was affected by, we lost a good amount of people from the west end on this side. Now, whether they took the census or not, but the numbers don't lie. So what I did, instead of going into Iberia Parish and stuff, I went in and grabbed a few precincts out of Morgan City. So we can keep it, and I can always have the whole parish that I can work on. It gives them an extra one too with Beryl. So this is the reason that I went that way, was to try to keep St. Mary together. And so I'll work on that. And I'd just like to say that before I go into the few bills that I'm going to run, I'd like to say that I am blessed, this parish is blessed with the mayors that we have and the leadership we have. There's not a time that I can't call or they call that we work together. I am blessed to have two legislators, and especially my senator, when you got a representative and a senator working together, and with the power that Bret has that we can bring to St. Mary Parish. And there's nothing that we can't do for this parish unless we know what y'all need. And I have a great relationship with my mayors. And last year we had a good amount of capital outlay. Anybody that asked got it. And so we're getting ready for the next one. I'd like to ask Sheila Jones to stand. This is my legislative aide. We have a policy that we all 365 days and all day and all night that we answer the phone, an emergency or anything. And we have been overwhelmed, but we can handle it because I'm carrying 5 bills this session. 2 of them are local. One is for paper kind of got messed up and we get back. Second local bill I'm doing for full card and the city of Franklin. It's just with junk vehicles and stuff. And last year we got up there and they put it into, they made it statewide and we wanted local. And we could have actually passed it. It was something that they were actually wanting to pass it for us because it's really good. Then we had everybody jump in on it, so we just called it off to this year. So we got it right. Local bill. And then I'm doing a bill for the Mike Foster and Alice Foster when they got into the governor's mansion. It was abused and not that, it's just the age and all the stuff and everything was scattered all over. So they made a foundation. And in that foundation, and y'all came to him and asked me that, and he asked me to run him a bill. So I'll see Monday what it's about, and I'll be running a bill for the state fire marshal. And then I got one more bill that I might be filing is with AEP Electric it's one of their major electric suppliers, and they are tweaking their bill and something. Eat up their representatives, and and we can see it happening, but when me and Bret get together,
Thank you, Representative St. Blanc. Next, we have Senator Bret Allain. I know he's...
Good morning. Pleasure to be here this morning. Look, before I start, I'm glad to see that the community of friends was here today, and particularly I want to give a shout out to, I know Conrail just left, but I've known Conrail all my life. He, after World War II, he came back after his service, he came back and worked with my grandfather and my father, and literally, as a young man, I sat on his lap and he taught me how to drive a tractor. That's how far back we go. And I was meeting with the people from the World War II Museum, talking about Conrail, and the World War II Museum, and they said there's not but, of the 16.1 million people that served in World War II, there's none but 240,000 of them left. So if you ever get a chance, go thank Conrail Collins for his service in the war. There's not many of them left, and I've never known a finer, better person in my entire life. I had the honor of speaking at his birthday party years ago, and I'll never forget. His wife just passed, and it's a sad thing, but we loved your mother too. But I sat between them, and Conrail looked over at me and he laughed. He said, "You may be the only Republican we ever voted for." And I took that one to heart. Not finer people. My assistant Laura Meadows is here. Raise your hand. She's involved in the chamber now, which I encourage. And surprisingly, I'm a sponsor now. That they let me know. I'm sure I'll be a sponsor a lot more now that she's in that position. So just a couple of things, and I'll hit the highlight. We've been able to bring a lot of capital outlay back to St. Mary Parish in the area. Very proud that we now have a working permanent structure to Bayou Chene to stop flooding on the east side. $80 million project in this parish to stop flooding on the east end of this parish. Very proud of that happening. We don't have to worry about, people don't have to worry about losing their homes to floods. All we have to do, it's not going to take us a month of building walls and finding a barge and all of that. A phone call and 2 hours and the gate can be closed. So, and we're going to come up with procedures to do that. That's on the west end, and along with a lot of other infrastructure things that we've been able to do on the east end. You may notice coming down Northwest Boulevard, the Wellness Center at Franklin Foundation is under construction, a $20 million project, 60,000 square foot, and that is to promote the health and wellness of the citizens of this area. I'm very proud of that project. We're also along with my representatives, and we work very good together. I appreciate their effort. We're also going to get in the bill this year money for a roundabout right at Franklin Foundation on Northwest Boulevard. They have a nice entrance into the city, and then we'll find some funds to put Franklin's logo and really make a nice entrance into Franklin to promote the community. One other thing I'd like to, and I have the honor of sitting on the Franklin Foundation Hospital Board, and we recently just entertained, and we got a brand new surgeon coming to town. Well-trained young man. He came very highly recommended. Actually, my cousin Bret, Allain, which is younger than me, not the daddy, but the son, who's a surgeon in Baton Rouge, actually trained surgeons, and he said, this is a great young man. He's from a rural community and is very excited about coming here, and I'm very excited for Franklin Foundation. We continue to add services and all that to there, and the idea is to build up that hospital and the services that we offer in this area and all throughout the parish for the health and welfare of the residents here. We take care of our people here. A few other capital outlay things, but the list is too long to mention. I am now chairman of the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs that gets the last look at all the capital outlay, and we also take care of taxes. So I will briefly mention that looks like we're going to have close to $1 billion this year to spend in capital outlay because of all the federal funds and the surpluses coming. Also, I want to mention through the Port of West St. Mary, if you notice the new building at the base of the Baldwin Bridge, that's going to be education for welders and for CDL drivers. So we're very excited about that getting up and going. I thank the cooperation of my cousin David Allain, who's took the charge on that. We got him the money, but he's really got the thing built, so we're very proud of that. Education and of all sorts. We need nurses, we need education for farmers and technicians and you name it, and I've been a big promoter of that through Fletcher, South Louisiana Community College, Nichols State University, who's now in my district after redistricting. So we're very excited about the direction that all that's going. A little bit about the other thing that I've been doing in my spare time, which is tax reform. We made some great strides this past year. I think 2021 regular session that just passed may well be remembered as a session where lawmakers made the substantial down payment on the long talked about tax reform that this state desperately needs. Louisiana's per capita and local tax burden is kind of in the middle of the pack nationally. We're no more burdensome than anybody else, but we rank near the bottom of every rating system in the country. And it is because of the complexity of our tax system. This past year, our efforts were directed toward making the tax policy once and for all simple and predictable. That's what businesses want, that's what we need, and that will attract new businesses to come here. A lot of times we were overlooked. We were in the tax foundation, we were ranked 48th. In council on state taxation, we had a D-. after we pass this, and we've got more to do, we're going from 48th to 38th with the tax foundation, moving up 10 in the nation. And with the Council on State Taxation, we went from a D to a B minus. We're making improvements, and we're going to do a hell of a lot more. Very excited about that. We lowered the top personal income tax rate last year. We decoupled our personal income tax from the national income tax, which we needed to do. We didn't want the fluctuations, the wild fluctuations in the federal tax to be affecting the revenues of the state. We were the last or second to last state in the nation to do that. Most of them did that way back in the Reagan years. We finally got that done, and with the savings, we were able to buy down the highest personal income tax rate from 6 to 4 1/4. And that was Constitutional Amendment number 2 last year that overwhelmingly passed. I want to thank all of you. This is the first time I've had a chance to talk to you since then. That was my legislation, along with the bills that had to start on the House side, which was the Ways and Means Chairman, Stuart Bishop, who's originally from this area, went to school at Hanson. We teamed up and we got that done, and we're very proud of doing that. We're going to actually, in 23, and it has to be in a fiscal year, we're going to try to drive down the rate even further with some swap of funds and all of that. But this year, I think we're going to concentrate on reforming inventory tax. Inventory tax has been a big deterrent. So is franchise tax to businesses coming here. It cost all the consumers money on doing that. And what we're going to do is we're not going to tell any parish whether you can or you can't charge inventory tax. That's still a decision that the locals will be able to make. But for those parishes that do not care to charge inventory tax, we're going to make it permissible that they don't. Right now, the way the Constitution set up, all parishes have to charge inventory tax, and I just don't think that's right. In exchange for that, we're going to give them relief in the only allow them to have to give up 80% in ITEP. That's an industrial tax credit. That's a big draw, so we can attract companies in here. The idea that we had such a lucrative tax credit to get companies to come into the state was because I've always was told it was what the bait we needed to put on the hook to get them in here. Tax Foundation calls it a Band-Aid on bad tax policy. So if we reform the tax policy, the incentives don't need to be as lucrative. I think it's a fair exchange, and I think a lot of parishes will go that way. So we're going to try, before I get out of here, I've only got 2 years left before I'm term limited, but we're going to try and do as much tax reform as we possibly can. If we can't get it all done, then we may actually look at trying to promote a constitutional convention to finish the job and fix a lot of the other things that's, I think, not quite right with the state. I will mention to you that it's an honor and a privilege to have served you all these years. I think we've made good strides and proud of the work that we've done along with the representatives here. And I'm just honored to have served you and look forward to the next 2 years before I retire and come back to farming. So that being said, happy to answer any questions that y'all may have.
All right, thank you, Senator. We appreciate you all for being here today. Anyone have any questions for any of our senators or representatives? I think everybody's ready to go home. Or go to work, shall I say. A quick, okay, we do have a question.
Yeah, hi, Representative Amedee. I'm just wondering about the literacy standard, if you're still going to put that forward this session about changing that.
Oops. Sorry, there's a wire over here. The State Superintendent of Schools has already instituted a program where the lower elementary grades literacy curriculum is going to be heavily phonics based. He is following the example of what Mississippi has done recently in Mississippi, when they instituted this new focus or refocusing on phonics-based literacy, their reading scores of their students just went through the roof. So I fully expect that we're going to see the same results. Watch for the reading scores, especially of lower elementary. It should be climbing as soon as we get back to our typical pattern in school where they actually are testing and reporting those scores, which I believe by the end of this school year we'll be seeing some of that.
Any other questions? I was receiving an alert from Parish Councilman Reverend Craig Matthews. The Highway 182 bridge in Baldwin is closed, so don't go that way. Hit Highway 90 if you can. Just making sure everybody knows that before. Up next, right quick, I'd like to call up our Chamber President, Ms. Beth Chasson, right quick, to give you a few updates on the Chamber.
Good morning again. I wrote down some notes. I'll try to get through them pretty quickly. As Tiger said earlier, April, for our luncheon, we'll be inviting our mayors to come in and kind of give a state of the city or town address, as well as our parish president. That'll be April 27th. May, I have invited the doctor from LumCon, Dr. Roberts, to come in and speak about the Louisiana National Estuarine Research Reserve that St. Mary Parish is in the running to receive. They should be close around May to choosing where the location is going to be, and we're hopeful that St. Mary Parish will win that. And then in June, we'll have our legislative wrap-up, and we're also starting to work on planning our education banquet, which will be in person this year, and we're very happy about that. A couple of events that are coming that I'm aware of, and I'll add in here, I have a new Facebook page called Chamber Chatter with Beth, where I will be sharing a calendar of events for things across the parish. So if you had things to add to that, please reach out to the Chamber, reach out to me, and let me know. I will be looking up for the Community of Friends calendar of events and adding their items to our calendar as well. A couple of things happening. Brittany's Project Family Fun Day in Franklin will be coming soon. Basin Brew Fest is March 26th. I know Touch Theater has a couple of plays coming up. Bayou to Maine is the first Saturday of every month. In Franklin, Berwick Town Market happens monthly as well. April, we'll have a spring market in Morgan City. There is a dinner coming up, a specialty thing planned by Franklin Merchants Association. It's dinner under the lamppost. More information will be coming on that very soon. And there's a couple of other special events that are on our calendar that are happening around the parish, the auditorium, the old building, things like that. There is a business workshop at SLCC coming up, and I'll give Mr. Greg Young or Kiri a few minutes in just a second to come up and speak on that. Updates from the Chamber is that Leadership St. Mary did kick off. They had their first day yesterday. It was economic development. They were able to travel around the parish and learn from business owners. We're working on our directory, and our goal is to have it out in May. Well, to send it to print in May. Our business owners and members for the Chamber will be receiving a business survey update from me with a couple other pieces of information in there. And one of the things, the last thing I will say, something that I brought up to the Board of Directors is an event that I would like to host. We don't have the details exactly ironed out yet, but it will be called Lemonade Day, and it is to build entrepreneurship in our youth. We'll take sponsorships from businesses and members of the Chamber and allow a certain age group, we'll pick the ages, to apply for what is pretty much a small business loan to set up lemonade stands, jewelry stands, cookie stands, whatever. And then we'll have certain days, we'll probably do one on one end of the parish and one on the other end of the parish, where the community will go out and support those small businesses, and it allows the youth to learn how to pay back a loan, save some of the money, and create that small business. So it builds entrepreneurship, and that's something that we're looking forward to trying to implement this year. So I'll give it over to Mr. Greg and Kiri really quickly. I believe they had these on the table. Yeah. Each of you should have had these on the table.
We have an event coming up March 23rd. It's sponsored by our local chamber, SLEC, and Louisiana Economic Development. And first of all, it's only going to have practical things that you can apply to your business. This is from many years of experience. Second of all, over 90% of evaluations of our programs are rated as excellent. Third, you can register online. It's real easy, especially the people. You can go on your phone. There's a thing you can register online. And fourth, there's flyers at the back of the room, and if you need some more flyers, we'll give them to you. And we'll be here to answer questions if you have any. But again, it's really practical things you can see from 45 years of experience in helping other businesses as well as my own. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you. It's a great problem when you reach time and not having to try and fill time. So that means our parish is growing, our parish is starting to thrive again, and it's a good thing because it's all of you all that make it happen. Thank you for taking your time out to have breakfast with us this morning. And once again, thank you for your continued support of the Chamber. I have to thank our Chamber ladies in the back. You see Miss Gail, Miss Trinisha, Miss Iris, Miss Maida, and all of the ambassadors for the Chamber of Commerce. These are the ladies, along with Beth, that make the Chamber run. So please make sure that the Chamber works for you. Make sure that you take advantage of each and every aspect that the Chamber can do for you and your business to make sure that we grow this parish together. Please call the Chamber offices in Morgan City or Franklin with your RSVP for future events. As you can see, we were pretty full in here tonight, this morning. We want to make sure that each and every event is that way. Please make sure that you eat local, shop local, fuel local, support local, play local, support the arts here in St. Mary Parish. We have many, many plays going on this month and next month in this parish. So please, on behalf of myself and my passion, please support the arts. We want to thank our legislators. Thank you so much, State Representative Amedee, State Representative St. Blanc, and I know State Senator Allain had to run out because he has to go to Baton Rouge today. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us because we work for you.